welcome to another Tuesday night Eventide patrons only stream. How are you all doing here this fine Tuesday evening? Been looking forward to this all day. I've really come to enjoy these Tuesday night remaster sessions. It's a good way for me to continue making progress when I'm otherwise still swamped. Yes, I'm still swamped with freelance. I should be done. I think out of time. But while that's still going on, I'm still making some progress here. So, over the past few weeks, we've been working to do the kind of remaster to the Eventide Player's Guide. I've been working on a wide variety of systems, and last week we tackled one of the trickier ones, which was the level of magic in Eventide, and thanks to all of you, I actually came up with a much better series of terms for it and cleaner rules. So I actually have kept things where they are. It started to gel and feel right to me. There is a part of me that thinks that maybe one of these terms might change, but I think that is now more along the lines of like a small thing and less of a big thing. So one thing I'm going to do here is let me go ahead and move my camera right away. Go ahead and make me small. Here I am. I'm small. All right. Ooh. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, last week we worked through the levels of magic. This was kind of a big linchpin piece for some of the other changes that I know need to happen. I needed this terminology kind of sorted out, and frankly, how it works sorted out. So, one of the things that happened here was the way that being in a degraded area of magic works changed to a flat check. In a balanced, you're fine. You don't have to make a flat check. Everything's normal. In a vibrant area of magic, you get bonuses and can recast spells. In a faded area, you have to make a flat check with a DC of 10 plus the spell's level, or 10 plus the item level if you're trying to activate an item. Refocusing takes longer, and yeah, that's how that works. And then in a silenced area, the flat check is 20 plus the spell or item level, which basically means you need a 20 to make it. I did want to leave it in there as a possibility. I tried to decide whether or not I just wanted to make it, yeah, you can't do it at all. So that's kind of where I'm at. There is a part of me that wonders, I went through after the stream and kind of worked and massaged in these terms and these rules in all the other sections, talking about, you know, the various traditions and how they function, the magic zones in play and what they are. And then I started applying it to links. And basically, links just allow you to treat the area of magic as one level better. And since for most areas of magic it is faded, if you have a link, you get to treat it as balanced, which means you don't have to make checks. That's where it's at right now. I think there is a world in which, you know, instead of it having you treat it as a level higher, it might change the DC formula. But I think if I do that, it means that most casters are going to have to make checks all the time when they cast spells, and that's kind of something I don't want, because frankly, if I remove a lot of the power of spellcasters by having their spells fail with some frequency, it really kind of unbalances the game. Those classes become far less powerful and useful at the table. And I'd want to frankly rebalance the classes to make that work, right? So if let's say wizards, you know, even in the best of situations, had to make a flat check with a DC equal to the spell level, that's pretty tough, right? You know, they wouldn't fail spells very often, but when they get to higher levels, they'd really feel that. They'd have entire turns where nothing happened, and that's ultimately quite unsatisfying. So, you know, I'd have to build other mechanics and change how the classes work and maybe make them less reliant on spells, right? You know, give them more hit points, give them, you know, better other proficiencies and feats and stuff. And I don't really think I want to do that. So, this is where it's at right now. I think this works pretty well. So tonight, So there's a question, is how common are vibrant, faded, and silenced areas? Well, as a general note, the entire setting, arcane and divine magic are faded, and primal is silent. So, as a general rule, there'll be places where it's like, oh, this place is, strong with arcane magic. It treats it down here no matter what, right? And those happen. Those aren't super rare. But that does mean that most arcane and divine casters need a link to avoid having to make a flat check to cast their spells. And if they don't have it, they still can. It's just, they're looking at probably greater than a 50% chance of failure. So there's that. There is part of me that wonders if whether or not I should change this to, instead of, right now it's 10 plus spell level. I could see myself changing this to 5 plus spell level. And then change this to something like 15 plus spell level. This does mean that even in a silenced area, the spells will happen somehow. Just not very often. They're going to fail a lot more frequently than you don't. Because the base check is going to be a 16, right? Because everything's at least level 1. So if everything's a level 1, that means you got 16, which is you've got a 25% chance of casting your spell if it's first level. It drops 5% for every level higher than 3rd. And once you hit 5th, it caps at a 5. You basically have 5% chance of casting. So, I think for Faded, this probably is better. It means that you would lose spells less often, but it would still happen. And it means that the highest level spells can still be cast with like a 25% chance of success. But this one I'm unsure about. This one might need to stay... Either this might need to stay 20, which basically just means it's always a DC 20 flat check, because 20 plus spell level or item level means that it's always, although there is an interesting ramification there that it means that in a silenced area, 10th level spells could never be cast. So here's the thing, a flat check can still crit. So if it's 20 plus spell level, a 10th level spell would be DC 30, which means even if you rolled a 20, it would be a crit failure. But because you rolled a 20, it would increase to a failure. You would still lose the spell. So in a silenced area, 10th level spells do not function, period. And all other spells just have a 5% chance of being. Right now, this makes it a little bit more possible. The 10th level spells could be cast if you rolled a 20. Right. Sixth level spells and up could all be cast if you bounce a 20. But all the rest of it. I'll leave it here for now. I was thinking about that throughout the week. I'm going to leave it there for now and I'm going to let myself sit on it. So, little thing I like to do as a designer, I'll let you in on part of my process, is I will make changes, I will make decisions, and then I'll just revisit them later and see whether or not they still feel right to me. I very frequently will revisit a thing 3 or 4 times. I'll let it sit for a while, I'll come back, I'll tinker with it. Let it sit for a little while, come back and tinker with it. I have this thing where I will chew on a problem in kind of the back of my brain, where I just like, yeah, I'll think about that. And for me, that oftentimes means just idle moments where I'm like, oh, what should I do with that? I'll weigh it and consider options. But, I won't call it final for a while. So we're going to leave it like this for now. I'm going to let myself think about it. So that's the levels of magic. We did a lot of work on this last week. That's where we're at. So there are a bunch of spells down here that are focus spells and stuff. Some of these need to be remastered. So let's go ahead and do those. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and tie up some odds and ends. I've got a lot of odds and ends still in this file. And I want to get them sorted. So to that end, you know, we've got these 2 cantrips here. These I actually took care of, but I didn't touch any of the focus spells. Now, some of these are probably going to get rewritten at some point in time, but regardless of that, some of these have stuff in them that has to go. Like school. So that really doesn't happen now. Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. So I need to go in here. I'm gonna wager you can't see my font menu. No, you can. That's okay. So I need to change this to a special font called Pathfinder Icons. And then I need to go into Font, Advanced, and turn on ligatures. And there we go. Now it's a reaction. That's how we get the symbol. Now what's interesting is if I take this symbol, this is why we did it this way. If I copy this symbol and I come up here and I just go copy, paste, text only, it will pop back to its original letters. We did that because screen readers, for folks who have vision impairment, it reads ligatures as their component letters. So a ligature in text is a thing that you see all the time, but you don't know you see it. So some fonts, when they put 2 letters next to each other, it'll look weird. And it'll look weird just because of the way the font is. And what it'll do is the font will create what's called a ligature, and it says, oh, when there's 2 F's next to each other, don't put 2 F texts next to each other. Put this put this different glyph in that is the 2 F's, but they're joined together. Their crossbars are kind of joined together. That's a ligature. But as far as the text reader goes, it still reads it as FF, despite the fact that it's a different glyph being displayed. So that's all we're doing here. We're just telling it, when you see these letters in this font, the ligature for that, there's a ligature for all those letters put together, and it is this symbol. And the symbol is our action symbols that we use. So, tricky thing to do. We had to create our own custom font to make that happen. It is the only font I have ever created. So I made that font. It is licensed to me, to Python. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to need to get rid of this then, because we don't need that anymore in the way these spells work. Illusion is one of the tags we keep, because illusion is a common thing. So I think the rest of this is good. Yes. All right. Right now I'm just kind of doing a formatting pass here. So this needs... So to make life simple, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. But then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to type 2 actions. So that'll get that, and then I can delete this. Area duration is still a separate line. Okay. All right. So that's good. Now that I've got a 2-action one, the 2-action one I'm going to use all the time. So let me just go and grab a copy of that. And we'll go and put that on everything that needs it, just so that I can be done with it. Okay, so that's in there. Got all those. I'm not sure that all these spells are balanced. They may need a pass, but that's separate from the pass that I'm doing right now. Evocation can go. Range, area, yeah, that's all fine. We don't use saving throw anymore, right? We use defense. I was like, we use defense, right? That's generally what we use now, right? And then I literally ran right into a spell in the player core where it still says saving throw. Oops. Hold on, I need to find it again so I can send myself a note. Let's see, where was it? Getting closer. Yeah, there it is. Hold on, I need to send myself an email. Sorry, work is getting in the way, everyone. All right. There. Sent it to myself. There. Done. I will have to charge myself. Yeah. No, that may be the only one. I don't know how we missed it, but all the other ones are done the right way. But for some reason we missed that one. And I don't know how that happened, but you know, it happens. The big book. Yeah, Pied Piper still said saving throw. Still says saving throw. All right, well. Oops. All right, so this needs to say defense. Yeah, the sneaky look at me sending an email to myself. That's right. I could write it on a note, but I don't, you know. I don't have a post-it note within hand, so the easiest way to do it was just to send myself an email. All right, that's all fine. All right, so this one is a little different because this one's only one action. So we're gonna go in here and change this to. There we go. Range, targets, yada yada. Alright, so these have a calling thing in them. Then I have to... If I recall correctly, yeah, because the muse, yeah, calling stays in. Okay, so that will stay... Enchantment? Enchantment. Alright, that can go... to that. That. Saving space. Wait, why are these... What is going on here? Wait a minute. Pick my styles. Come here, styles. That body. Yeah, those should all probably be stat body. Is that a... the joys of formatting. Okay, so let me go ahead and bring this up. They should all be stat body. Let me make sure that that's not stat body. That's stat body indent. Be stat body indent. That's not what we want. That one's correct. That one's not. I guess I wrote these at different times. That's the only thing I can think of. Okay. There's that. Okay, so this has what it's supposed to have. Okay. Oh. That shouldn't. Is that change back to stat body? What happened there? That's great. That's great. Weird formatting problems abound. The joys of doing remaster work. It can be slow and tedious. Now, this work had to be done hundreds of times for the core rulebook, right? What you're seeing is just a tiny snapshot of what someone had to probably spend a week doing. Auditory, fear, illusion, mental. Yeah, I mean that probably all can stay. And there. Okay. Alright. So, all the spells have been formatted correctly. Let me take a peek at them and make sure that mechanically they're still doing what I want them to do. Dark Mantle. Reaction. Creature targets you with an attack and you can see the attacker. A cloak of darkness surrounds you, making it more difficult to strike. You are concealed against the targeting attack unless the attacker has dark. Yeah, no, that's fine. Shadow Sight. Duration 1 round. Area 30-foot animation. Your words or songs speak of darkness, giving your allies insight into shadows. You and all allies in the area gain low light vision and a +1 status bonus perception checks made to see creatures or objects in areas of dim light. 6, you gain dark vision instead and a +2 bonus. Yeah, that's fine. Huh. I have a thought on this one. I'm going to change the duration to sustained up to 1 minute. I like that better. that makes it more useful. You cast it once and then you can sustain it. Because if you want to give people the ability to see in darkness or in dim light, you're going to want to do it for the whole fight, but it has to be the thing you're now sustaining that is allowed. This is for the Shadow Bard, I think. Actually, which means these might need... okay, where am I at? This is page 81. Okay, let me go up to the Bard. Where are you, Bard? Penumbris, Alchemist. Okay, close. Yeah, so these are all Shadow Mute. Okay, so these need to be... These need to have a Muse entry. Don't they? They do. Yeah. That would go right here. Get that in here, and here, and there. Just to make sure that's in there. Alright. Song of Darkness. Your song calls forth a gloomy storm of darkness that writhes and broils, disorienting and damaging those within. The storm deals 96 negative damage. Well, it can't do that now. Void damage. Basic reflex save. On a critical failure, the darkness swims through the creature's mind and it must succeed at a will save or have its vision clouded by shadows. If it fails the second save, all creatures are concealed to it for 1 minute. If it critically fails, it is blind. Huh. 6th level focus spell. So I'm thinking we're gonna change this. On a failure, the darkness swims through the creature's mind and it treats all creatures as concealed to it until the for 1 round. On a critical failure, it is blinded for 1 round and treats creatures concealed for 1 minute after that. No double saves. No double saves. Alright, that's better. That is a better spell. Now it does not require two saves. Alright. Champion skills and balance. You drain the life energy from a target and transfer it to yourself. If the target has more hit points than you, this deals 1d4 void damage. Basic fortitude save, and you regain an equal number of hit points after the results of the save are applied. If the target has fewer hit points than you, the target regains 1d4 hit points, but takes a -2 status penalty to AC and attack rolls made against you until the start of your next turn. That minus is the wrong minus. That should be a... Was it roll dash? Nope. What is it? It's insert. Are you... Now I get to play the fun job of where the hell is the end dash. What's the key for the end dash? N dash is control number minus. Okay. On this keyboard. There we are. -2 status penalty on attack rolls. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Black Blade, drawing your from your own shadow, you conjure a weapon made from darkness, and will then battle the weapon. Can be any melee weapon you desire, so long as you are training its use. Weapon has none of the traits the weapon does, and deals 1d6 void damage plus your intelligence modifier. On a critical hit, the target takes persistent bleed damage equal to the number of motes around you. If the weapon leaves your hand, it fades away into nothingness. Okay. Okay, no kicker there. Alright, got it. Dark Rage. You invite the shadow to take over your body, filling you with rage. While in this rage, you cannot take any concentration action, although you can still cast spells and utilize abilities that... with... the darkness, void... Shadow traits. You can still seek. You can seek while in this rage. While in this rage, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to double this spell's rank. In addition, your melee attacks are charged with void energy. You get an additional 1d6 points of void damage. With each hit, you also take a -1 status penalty to AC while this spell is in effect. The spell ends if you end your turn in an area of bright light. Fine. One blink. You blink between the prime plane and the plane of shadow at will. While blinking in this way, you can ignore all difficult terrain, and your movement does not trigger reactions. You gain resistance 5 to all damage except force. If you enter or are forced into an area of bright light, you immediately lose all the benefits of the spell until you are once again in dim light or darkness. While the spell is active, you gain the shadow dodge reaction. Shadow dodge. You are targeted with an attack and you can see the attacker. You quickly shift to the plane of shadow for a brief moment, gaining a +2 circumstance bonus to PC against the target attack. Increase your resistance to all damage by 5 against the target attack. Alright. Okay. Go ahead and put a save on. Alright. Gloom Snare. You draw forth the shadow like sticky webs and surround and engulf your foe. If successful, they are plunged into darkness and caught in its gloomy strands. These strands cannot be destroyed, but if brought into area of a light spell of greater rank than this spell, then they evaporate immediately and the spell ends. When a creature attempts to escape from being trapped by the strands, they take 2d6 void damage, regardless of whether or not the check was successful. Whenever a creature leaves the space occupied by the strands, the spell ends. They get a reflex save. Critical success, the target may step to any adjacent square and is otherwise unaffected. Success, the target is surrounded by darkness but can move freely and leave the gloom. Failure, target is surrounded by darkness and grappled by the strands, unable to move. The target may attempt to break the grapple as normal. Then they're grappled. Okay, so... Okay, so there is a weird bit in here where it's not working quite as intended. You draw 4 shadows like strands surrounded and engulf your foe. If successful, they are plunged. So, first of all, plunging them into darkness. These strands cannot be destroyed, but if brought in an area, but if brought into an area of light, but if exposed to an area of but if exposed to an area of a light spell of a greater rank than this spell, they evaporate immediately. Okay, that makes more sense. So you draw forth the shadows like sticky webs to surround and engulf your foe, filling their space and plunging them into darkness. These strands cannot be destroyed, but if exposed to an area, yada yada yada. Whenever a creature attempts to escape being grappled, it takes 2d6 void damage, regardless of whether or not the check was successful. Whenever a creature leaves the space occupied by the strands, the spell. Okay, now it works. Before it kind of didn't work. It didn't have language defining where the strands actually are, which is important. Okay, horrifying laughter. You call upon the target sphere. Calling upon the target sphere, you cause them to break under the stress of it. Break under the stress and burst out laughing. Target. Must attempt a will save. Critical success. The target is unaffected. Success. The target has fits of laughter. Can't use reactions and takes a -1 success penalty on saving throws made against fear. Failure. The target is overcome with terrified laughter. It is frightened. 1. Can't use reactions and takes a -1 success penalty on saving throws made against fear. This frightened condition does not reduce during the spell's duration. Okay. One thing I want to check. Back to conditions appendix here. Frightened gives a status penalty. So this gives a circumstance penalty. One of those things I have to double check sometimes. I'm like, wait, which one does that give? Because if they both give the same type, then they don't stack. Can't use reactions. Okay. Target is overcome with terrified laughter. It is frightened 1 and can't use reactions and takes a -1. Alright, critical failure. The target fears grows over time, causing them to break with gales of laughter. This functions as the failure effect. But when you sustain the spell, frightened condition increases by 1 to a maximum of 4. The frightened condition does not reduce. So I don't need to include this, because we already got it from the thing above. The target is also slowed 1 for the duration. Okay. Perfect. Decided to go check and make sure that I was still streaming and everything was going okay. Quiet work day. That's horrifying laughter. Laughing gloom. Creepy. You create. Okay, so this I have a note here. This is from one of our earlier chats about these spells. And it says maybe action loss instead. So let's take a look here. You create a creepy, unnerving laughter emanating from a nearby area of darkness or dim light. Creatures within 30 feet that can hear the laughter are unnerved and distracted by it, taking 1d6 mental damage plus 1 mental damage for each shadow node around you, and a -2 circumstance penalty on perception checks. Successful will save negates the perception. So this just does damage, right? Get a basic will. Spooky laughter. That's all it does. So the +1 mental damage per shadow mode. Boy, yeah, that's not impressive because the number of shadow modes you have is capped at 3. So it can do 1d6 plus 3, which isn't great, and kind of isn't how some of these things are supposed to work anymore. So, so here's the thing. I think creatures within 30 feet that can hear the laughter are unnerved and distracted by it, taking 1d6 mental damage. So I think the damage is not great. For a first level focus spell, that's a bit low. So we got that problem, but it is also a big burst, so maybe that's okay. But I do think I want to get rid of that. So, okay, now what it does is creatures within 30 feet that can hear the laughter are unnerved and distracted by it, taking 1d6 mental damage and a -2. So I do want to just stop there. Those that fail this check also take -2 circumstance penalty on perception checks for 1 minute. So, less damage. I mean, I might want to make this slightly more. 2d6? But if I do that, I'm going to want to change the area a bit. That's kind of the question I have right now is, do I drop the area? Because everyone within 30 feet is a very large area that hits everybody. Certainly going to hit everyone you want to hit, because basically you can pick an area 60 feet wide and hit everybody. So what I want to make sure is that what it does is kind of in line with some of the other... This is a first level focus spell. They do have to spend a focus point to cast it. They don't just get it for free. It's not a cantrip. So let's see. There's a focus spell. Let's see. Earth focus spell does 2d6 bludgeoning and is an attack roll. Okay. Fire ray does 2d6 fire damage and can start the square on fire. So maybe this works better like that. And even then, I think maybe it works better like the D-Force. So it's a 10-foot burst that does 2d4 mental damage. Will save that in half it. And those that critically fail take a penalty on perception. The action loss, I could... So if it's going to have an action loss, that's all it's going to do. So if it were going to do the action loss would look like... I think the action loss might look like this. So let me do creatures within 10 feet that can hear laughter are unnerved and distracted by it. Those and must attempt a will save. Those who fail are... I mean, slowed one? You could do that. But that's really good. I'm gonna leave. Oh boy. I'm torn on that one. Something that causes characters so... Boy, if I look at... Let me look at the... Slow spell. Targets one creature, is 3rd level. A failure causes them to be slowed 1 for 1 minute. Critical failure is slowed 2 for 1 minute. Success is slowed 1 for 1 minute. I think I have to stick with the damage. I think the slow is too good. I can't justify a 1st level spell being almost as good as a 3rd level spell. I can't do it. I tried, but I can't. Alright, let's keep going here. We're almost done. Shadow body. Your body loses substance and colors, taking on the appearance of an inky moving shadow. In this form, you can collapse your form into almost being 2-dimensional, allowing you to squeeze through any opening at least 1 inch wide or long, like under most doors. In addition, your body loses some of its substance, giving you resistance 5 to all damage except force. This resistance is double if the attack is not magical. You cannot manipulate objects in the environment while in this form, but you can manipulate gear on you when you cast the spell. I don't get why this needs to be here. Yeah, those two clauses aren't really related. You can manipulate the stuff on you while you cast this. I mean, why wouldn't you do? Finally, if you're in an area with shadows, typically any place not in complete darkness or bright light, you can hide without having to need cover by pretending to be another shadow. That's great. Okay. That's fantastic. That still works. Shadow Veil. You draw a veil of shadow around you that grants you protections. Protection. This grants you concealment against any creature that cannot see in darkness, although your position is still obvious. And you cannot use this concealment to hide or sneak. You also gain a status bonus on saving throws and AC against light effects equal to the number of shadow motes around you. Yeah, that's not very good. There's a note here that maybe does negative damage to those who hit you. Well, obviously it's not going to do negative damage. Let me do this. Adjacent creatures that hit you a melee attack take 1d4 void damage from this fling shadows. This bonus against light effects is so nonsensical. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna sit on that. That's I mean, I could just make it 1 void damage. but that seems so little. And here's the thing, it does advance very slowly. So it goes 1d4, 2d4. At 3rd level, at 9th level, it's only 5d4, which is really big. We're at 18th level, 17th. Tendril Storm. Darkness. Penumbrous. I don't know why those weren't there. Black tendrils are up from every sort of grappling, tripping, and bludgeoning all creatures. The tendrils deal 66 bludgeoning damage and 4d6 void damage. Each target must attempt a basic fortitude save if the target fails. Also prone. If the target critically fails, it is prone and immobilized. No, it's turn. Alright. Okay, so there we are. Looking at the time. Wow, time flies. Man! Here's the thing, though. We got through all the spells that are written. There's a couple spells in here that I know I still need to write. There's a list of them up here. Gloomtide, Hungry Darkness, Shadow Puppet, and Shadow Rifter are spells that I still need to write. But I got more space to write them now. So we got actually through a lot of this. We're at the bottom of the document. This is it. So I think I still have some odds and ends to tie up. I'll take a look and see if there's enough to stream about those next week. But folks, I think that's going to be about it for us here today. Yeah, we're at the end. Let me go ahead and save that so I don't lose it. Yeah, time flies when you're editing spells, as it turns out. Well, I have another stream starting here in just 7 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and let this one go. Folks, I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for your continued support. Yeah, no, what you learned, making and editing game content is very slow and meticulous. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. That's what it is. And if you ever wonder why it takes so long for me to put together a 70-page document, it's because things like this take hours and hours and hours. So, folks, I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I'll see most of you, not all of you, over on Twitch here in just a few. Take care, everybody. We'll see you